Good afternoon and good evening to everyone who is joining us for this Monday bonus session where we are going to talk a little bit more about the Accelerate Your Life Coaching Methodology. And I have received a bunch of different questions from people. So in this discussion, we will hopefully answer your questions. I'm so excited today to also have two of the Accelerate Your Life members on live with me in about 10 or 15 minutes. We are all going to jump on and just have a really casual discussion about real people doing real things, accelerating our lives, and taking our game to the next level. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been rolling through last week with us, who attended our 5-day Success Alignment Exclusive. Last week was such an incredible week. On day 1, we covered clarity, goals, and self-belief. On day 2, we covered boundaries, standards, and self-love. And we learned how to use our internal compass in order to guide ourselves into alignment for our own personal success in life, business, and love. And on day 3, we explored the power to manifest. We talked about understanding energy. And we talked about the law of receiving. Day 4 is the science of success, where I actually presented a formulaic approach to what success looks like. And as we all know, on Friday last week, we talked about our day 5 session was about deep and long-lasting results. So I just wanted to let everyone know that our content will be up on our Facebook page, Accelerate Your Life 2021. Which is a Facebook community that I run. We have over 1,500 members in that Facebook community right now. So definitely feel free to share or join. If you are watching on YouTube, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing. And if you want to support what we're doing energetically, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share. We're always trying to get the word out to other like-minded people that we are gathered here talking about spirituality. We're talking about energy. We're talking about intensive, success-driven mindset in a way that makes our lives easier in approach, in methodology, in tactical behaviors, and how we show up every single day. Oh, look at that. I just want to check out our comments. So do give me a shout out if you are live, if you're watching us, if you're watching on replay. I always appreciate it if you just drop me a hashtag replay. Let us know live. Let us know what you're looking for. If you have any questions that our two members and myself can answer for you or address today about the program or any kind of, things that are making you nervous, if you're thinking of making a decision to join us for this incredible coaching program, let us know. We like to have an open conversation around here. So with that, I just want to remind everyone that our content is going to be live until Tuesday at midnight UK time, and we're taking everything down. We are offering a special offer for everyone who joins the program at the moment ahead of Tuesday night, and that is we've taken our price from £444 a month for 12 months down to £333 a month. And that's 111 savings every month. So this will definitely be the last time we're offering that. As we move forward and we continue to grow and thrive and develop our platform and develop our sessions. I just want to quickly talk about the energetic exchange today before we bring everyone on live with regard to time, with regard to money, and with regard to our own personal power and our own energy. Now, one of the things I've been banging on about all week is this exchange that we have going on, this deeper understanding of our paradigm. And it puts a lot of people in a position where we fall into two categories, okay? So I would say the majority of people are living with what we would call almost like a poverty mindset. And this doesn't mean that you live in poverty. It means that there's a mindset of always living in a place of scarcity, in a place of lack, never having enough. And it's not your fault. It's not my fault. I come from that mentality as well. I think most people tend to. And the reason I bring it up is because this is the kind of paradigm, deep underlying belief system that starts to rear its ugly head when we think about putting ourselves first in our life. When we think about investing in ourselves, we think about taking our game to the next level. We think about, oh, I've just sat here and I was dreaming about what my life could be, should be, what it ought to be. And then all these fears and doubts come in that say, who do you think you are? How dare you think that you can invest this kind of money in your own self? You know, you're this person from this village or this town, what you do. And we sort of crush our own potential or our own dreams before we even give ourselves a chance many times to get started. And I find that a lot of people will draw upon different situations that have come up in life and different situations where someone says, why are you thinking like that? I know that I had someone say to me when I was younger and I really started to travel. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a travel addict, right? I've traveled all over the world. I've traveled to the most exotic places. I've traveled and I get involved in the communities everywhere I travel. And I had someone yell at me when I was 19 and I started traveling and say, who do you think you are? You're going to get kidnapped. You're going to get sold into some sort of slave trade. I don't know, some crazy neighbors of mine. And then later in life, I had people seriously sit me down and say, you're not a jet setter. You're a girl from New Jersey in the United States. Jet setting is not what you're made for. That's not what you do. People like you don't live lifestyles like that. And luckily, I didn't listen or take their advice, even though it was advice that they believed would help save me from a lot of pain and suffering. I decided to do things my way. I decided to keep living the life that I wanted. I decided to keep following my heart. I decided to keep developing myself and growing and striving. And I have actually had a really amazing experience in my life where I've managed to travel to, I think it's something like 59 different countries, multiple times to the same country as well. And I've really traveled for most of my life. And I've had a wonderful experience in life because of that. But it's the same thing when we decide we want to do something for ourselves, invest in a course, invest in a skill set. How many people I talk to invest in teaching degrees, nursing degrees, all sorts of certificates and different education. But one thing that is missing a lot of the time is investing in the inside work, the mindset work, really shifting what we believe about ourselves and our lives and our potential to start and run a business, to develop multiple streams of income. So I just want to touch upon that very quickly today before we have a discussion with our members of AYL here, who are also my friends at this point. Because one thing that is a secret and not talked about very often, although it is actually talked about, I don't know if most people understand this, shifting from the paradigm or the understanding that there isn't enough to go around to the way of life and the mindset that there is always enough, more than enough. It's not that we just say it. The reason we hire mentors and coaches in mindset is because we want to constantly remind ourselves and drive this thinking into our subconscious until it becomes a deep-seated belief and it starts to show up in our life as always having more than enough. We start to really enjoy our journey because we know that we're growing and we're developing and our mindset is shifting. So here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. When you look at these big CEOs of these Fortune 500 companies, very successful entrepreneurs, celebrities in all sorts of different areas and industries, professional athletes, Olympic athletes, performers, comedians, singers, musicians, actresses, etc. The majority of these people have had a team of coaches, mentors, guides, trainers, and teachers that they hire not just to sit down in a classroom in the old school traditional way and learn something that they're probably going to take on and say, I have a degree in this, and then they go apply it, but to coach them and guide them and mold them into the person that they're becoming, customized in the way they want to become it. And working with an independent person or a program such as this one, especially the fact that we have a methodology, we don't just sit and do one-to-ones all week. We have a methodology, we have group sessions, and we have all sorts of different areas that we explore. It really helps to shift and shape a person's mindset and their approach to the next stage of their life. Big goal, legacy goals. And here's another thing I just want to share. This concept that this stuff happens overnight, I don't know why. It must be this I was going to say monopoly, this lottery concept, right? It's like you buy the ticket, boom, it lands in your lap. You go out to a restaurant one night and someone walks up to you and says, I have just answered all your dreams. Come with me right now. I'm going to give you all the money you want and all the connections. And you've manifested the life of your dreams. Honestly, if I could make that happen, I would make it happen for myself. I thought for many years it would happen for me that way. I believed until I realized that this game is all about standing up on your own 2 feet. It's about finding your power, taking your power back, and being really happy deep inside with your own journey and with the person you're becoming. And it doesn't matter because there's no dependency on people around you. It's like really starting to live into the truth of who you are. And there are times where it's challenging. There are times where you think, what the heck am I doing? Why am I doing this? But what's the alternative? So what is the alternative to you deciding to commit to building your life the way you want it to be for the rest of your life? Well, the alternative is that you'll end up building someone else's life the way they want their life to be for the rest of your life. And then you're still going to kind of be in the same place in some way, shape, or form. Or, when people are older and they're kind of like a little bit decrepit and they start thinking about their life, they go, I wish I would have done this. I wish I could have done this. Now that I'm older, my vision is 2020 in retrospect. We don't want to be in that category. We want to know that we really stood up and played the game and gave it our all and lived a life full of adventure, of experiences, of magnificence. And we really had fun doing it. And on this journey, we embrace our failures. We embrace our challenges. We embrace these little struggles and these hurdles that come up along the way, because we know that at the end, we're working with the laws of the universe here. We've got a down pat methodology that isn't going to fail you. We learn patience. We learn to embrace the moment. We learn to embrace the journey every single day, because ultimately all of it is manifesting. But manifestation, guys, is not like buying a ticket and winning the lottery. The day you hit your goal, your legacy, you've already become it. You've been becoming that for many, many months, many weeks, many years. It never ends. The goal, the purpose of that goal, the purpose of that truth is the growth, the evolution involved, the challenges, doing things that are uncomfortable, taking a risk, a calculated risk, putting yourself out there a little bit. You might get it wrong, but nobody's going to knock you down for that, right? We're just going to help you get right back up and keep going. The biggest mistake anyone can make in this life is just not trying. So I just thought I'd start out with that a bit today, because I get a lot of questions about it. A lot of people are nervous about putting the money down, about taking the risk, about taking the leap. And I just want you to know, we speak openly about finances in this program. We talk about, where we're at with things. If we need to work with you, if there's something that comes up, you're not going to go to like Accelerate Your Life jail because this month you're in the middle of building a business or you're working on something. We just have conversations openly, because a big skill that most of us need to develop not just in our own personal businesses and on this entrepreneurial journey, but if we're building a career, if we're working in a profession, in an industry, if we're building a charity, or we have some sort of philanthropic objective in our goal, we need to be able to talk about money. We need to be able to talk about wealth. We need to understand what that wealth vibration is deep on the inside of us. And it doesn't happen overnight, but we shift, we grow, we practice, we continue evolving, we practice discussions about money, we practice receiving money, we practice opening up different channels for income. And we start to release this weird shame that a lot of people have around this conversation, or this discomfort. I usually say the funny complex. People are funny. You talk about money, they disappear. They don't want to talk to you. Everybody giggles. Nobody wants to say what's really on their mind. And I always encourage everyone to just say it. Let's talk about it. Nothing crazy is going to happen, because, people who ask for what they deserve get it. People who don't ask for what they want, they don't get it because they don't know how to ask for it. So we practice that, and we practice it really well. So enough from me. It's a mindset, not a mindset then. I don't know who wrote that, but it is actually a mindset in, knowing that you're worth wanting what you want and being okay with accepting it. Here at Accelerate Your Life, we practice no judgment. And I talked about that on day one. No judgment, accepting yourself radically, wholly and completely for who you are, accepting where other people are at on their journey, and the fact that it's okay to have differences of opinion, right? And then finally, what was the third thing? Not caring what anybody thinks about you, letting go of what other people think about you. All right. So I just want to remind everyone that is what we covered in day one. And you know what? I just want to comment one more thing. Mindset is okay. You're all right to think about your own life and to think about what you want. There's this really deep-seated belief people have, which is like, if I'm doing good work, I don't need to get anything in return. I'm a martyr. I'm a hero. I'm a saint. Some of the greatest saints have raised the most amount of money because people with money can make more impact in this world. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean they're awful. It doesn't mean they're evil. Money is not the root to all evil. It's a belief system. But we tackle all of that when we get into the program and when we start going through money mindset and different things like that. So on that note, I really want to encourage you to reach out if you have any questions, if you want to talk to anyone about the program. But right now we're going to bring Amy and we're going to bring Julie up. You've probably seen their videos in our Facebook community. They have been so kind to wait patiently backstage as I continue to chatter about our topic of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Amy and Julie up to our panel here. And guys, if you have any questions, please go ahead and share in the comments. I'd love to hear any questions that you have for all of us. And I just want to start out by saying thank you guys so much for coming up. I really appreciate all of your support and your posts and your videos. And and I'm going to say in front of everyone, I'm so proud of the progress you're making and all of the work that you're putting in this program. And it's your life, right? It's not like, oh, it's a program. It's like your life, the real thing. Yeah. The actual life is happening for me, for you. So I just want to start out by, Amy, if I just want to ask you, just please go ahead and share with all of us your story about how you decided to start making changes, why you wanted to make changes.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of research around programs and Accelerate Your Life. We answered loads of questions. We had different calls.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
I did ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, some aha moments, things you've realized, and how far you've come, even though I'm going to maybe encourage you. I know. So go ahead. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, of course. So I I joined the program end of last year, so like in December, and I just came across it by chance, just signing up to kind of free masterclasses and webinars online like this one, and joined your week-long masterclass. And I hadn't even been like looking for a coach necessarily. I hadn't had an intention to invest, but after listening to that week, I just the content like resonated with me so much, because at that point in my life, I was just like very lost and quite like really unhappy. I'd been in kind of 9 to 5 corporate job. Since coming out of university, and it never really, I didn't feel like I fit in. I knew that I was kind of like hiding and not living up to my full potential, and I just found like no fulfillment in it. But because I guess been conditioned or accustomed to thinking that was the only way to live. Like, you do university, you come out, you get a job, 9 to 5, happy ever after. I'd just been forcing myself in it for years. And so, yeah, I had got like really down about things, and just living completely out of alignment. So that's why, when I joined your masterclass, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense, and this is what I need. But still, even though it resonated so deeply, obviously it was still a big decision. So there was a period of time, maybe a week, where I wasn't quite sure what to do. I was asking Camilla lots of questions, doing my research on other programs, as you said. And yeah, I mean, I came to the conclusion that it was the right one for me, and it's absolutely been the right decision. Because, yeah, I mean, you've spoken about the program in the week, but like, there's just so much to it. It's so deep, like it covers everything. It's really like it's life, like it's tools for life. And yeah, like the community, and um, like it's so important, as you said, and I hadn't thought about having a coach or mentor before, but it's so important to have those people in your life that can guide you and pass on their knowledge, and inspire you. And so, yeah, that's what I have found in this program. Yeah, and I guess in terms of the changes I've seen. So as I said before, I really wasn't in a good place, and I don't want to dwell on that too much, but I'd experienced depression, anxiety, and since being on the program, I just feel like a different person. I have a completely different outlook and perspective on things, whereas before I was in, say, like victim mentality, basically, like everything was happening to me, like life was happening to me. I was getting like dragged along by different people and different people's expectations of me, and I wasn't standing in my power. And now, thankfully, I have the attitude, and it's a practice. Like, sometimes I will still slip back into the victim mentality, but I catch myself, and now I know like life is happening for me, or things are happening for me. So even if something happens which on the surface might not seem like a good thing, I say this is happening for me, so there must be something within here that like is a lesson, or is something that's gonna show me yeah, like show me something. um and yeah, and in terms of like, so that's, I guess, like, internal changes, and in terms of externally, like I've left the 9 to 5 world, and I just feel that was absolutely the right thing for me to do. I've moved house. I've got now a lovely flat, living by myself. I have there are other changes. I'm working on my own business. I launched like a jewelry business, and also working on my social media, Instagram. And that's quite a big thing for me, because I had been off it for years because of where I was in that time. I found it triggering because of I was comparing, or it can be like that. But now I just feel like I do, because I am standing in my power. Like I can um, put myself out there and be authentic and speak my truth. So yes, working on the social media and trying different things, which just wouldn't have done a few months ago. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have done something like this before I joined the program. Um, yeah. Oh, I'm doing some courses. I'm doing mindfulness and life coaching. So I'm studying as well. So lots of changes, big shifts. And I look back and I just feel like a different person. Yeah. It's and I also know I mean, you don't reach the finish mark, right? I know that this is like a lifelong journey and practice. So it's even seeing like how far I've come the last 6 months. It's like I'm just so excited to see, for it to keep unfolding, because things are unfolding and becoming clearer to me, even in terms of what I want. Which sounds like quite a like, what do you want? Like, that sounds like it should be quite an easy question to answer. But actually, when you've been living out of alignment for 10, 15 years, like you haven't really given yourself the space or time or like focus to actually really think about what you want from life. And so that's also been massive, like actually giving myself the opportunity to get really honest with myself and know what I want, because you can't move towards anything or work towards anything if you don't know what you want. Like so
So let me just ask you a question. What would you say has been your favorite lesson so far? Because we go through group sessions. We have group sessions twice a week, sometimes more. We have all different bonus sessions. But what would you say has been your favorite lesson so far? I don't even know the answer to this.
it's really hard to pick one. I'd say some of them, like the most, I guess, the lessons which have enabled me to make changes are the story and what happened.
Oh yeah.
Because I was holding on so tight to my story, um, and had just identified myself with that story. That was me, and it wasn't a particularly positive story. And I would be sharing that. I would meet someone and it would all come out, and I'd be talking about myself in a way, I now I can see I wouldn't really want to be talking about myself like that. And yeah, just getting addicted to that story and being that person. So just being able to identify that for what it was, like take away, detach from like the emotional, like the meaning you put onto these experiences in life, and just know that they were just experiences. They were just things that happened, and everyone is going through experiences the whole time. So it's like life is a sequence of experiences. So it's really down to you how you how you interpret them. And as I said, now like experiences are happening for me because there's always something to take from them in a positive way. So yeah, being able to kind of separate myself from that story I was attached to has actually given me then the freedom to move forward. Because when I was still living in that story, I was still that person. I was affirming that into my reality every day. And so, yeah, like seeing that for what it is now, I have the freedom to create a new story for myself,
Yeah.
how I want, how I would like it to be. So
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And I think just one other thing, I get a question around this a lot. People say, can I join for 3 months? And then I also have people ask me, can I join for 6 months and not do the whole program? And
okay.
you guys know, I don't know if you know this, but when I was in the beta mode and really kicking this program off, we tested it in all sorts of different ways. And I will say there are like pretty dramatic results after 3 months. I think even in the first month, people get like, they get that look on their face where they're like, oh, get it. Something switches, and then it's like it starts. And then after 3 months, I think everyone's like, this is good. I'm noticing changes. What's interesting is like the 6 month mark, and then that next push to keep going. And that's why I feel confident in saying deep and long lasting results. Because I
Yeah.
personally have found that even after 6 months, there's still like shaky period.
Oh,
Like, oh,
definitely.
changing our perception of our life and who we are. It's not like, I always say, well, I don't always say, but I stole it from Bob Proctor, who says like, it's not child's play. It's not a kid's game. It's a grown-up game. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
is this for real? Or am I going to fall right back into my old patterns? Or is this like serious foundations, deep and long lasting change? And the push, when it starts to feel tense, is where the breakthrough happens.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean as you say, the old patterns and habits and those paradigms that have kept you like stuck before, they they like they just want to come up and kind of bring you back to the comfort zone whenever they can. It's about the familiar and staying in your comfort zone. So that's why like it's so important to, I mean, yeah, just to do it for the 12 months, because well, as long as possible. Like I want to do it for my lifetime, keep going through this process, keep practicing every day. It's not, as you said, it's not an overnight thing. It's a continual growth, continual unfolding. New things will come up, new paradigms or belief systems you didn't even know were there, that you then will want to work on and clear. And yeah, I mean, this is conditioning that's been there for a long time, like some of it since we were kids. So it's, it takes time to unravel it, so to like unlearn and then relearn a new way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to give it enough time.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm just gonna invite Julie to.
Hello.
Julie, thank you for waiting, and thank
It's
you for
okay.
hanging out with us on here at Accelerate Your Life in the community. What I really love about having all three of us up here, other than the fact that I feel like we're like the three sisters up here now, but, it's that we all have such a different story and we all have such a different experience. I say we all of us, because I also do Accelerate Your Life. So whilst there are still similarities to everyone's journey, because we're all human and we go through the same human condition, we're all building different lives, different dreams, different visions, and having different challenges and different experiences. So Julie, I would love to just welcome you to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about the amazing work you're doing. Share your aha moments. Tell us about your business, which I'm very proud of. So sorry to give you a little bit of a plug there. But I'm just so proud of all the work you're doing. It's
Thank you. So my name's Julie Baker and I am a healer, and it started off with Reiki healing, but now I want to branch into other kinds of healing because I think Reiki was just like a gateway for it, but it's not always been that way. So my story has got similarities to Amy. I was in the corporate world, and I'm a bit older than Amy. I'm 49 this year, so I've been lost for quite a long time. And I was working in the corporate world and I was just lost, so lost. I was earning great money, but I would spend it as soon as I earned it because I was just obsessed with buying shoes and handbags. But I knew that was like overcompensating for some big gaping hole that was missing in my life. And that missing in my life was knowing what I wanted. It wasn't feeding my soul, the job that I was doing. It was just soulless. And that's how I felt, just empty. So I left the corporate world in 2016 because I had started my self-development journey probably in about 2013. So I was like, really like reading self-development books and just exploring new and different avenues. And I just thought, enough's enough. I'm fed up of being unhappy. I'm fed up of not speaking my truth and on this hamster wheel of Groundhog Day. Every day is the same, but don't get anywhere, and it was just soul destroying. So I did leave the corporate world and I took a leap of faith, and I started doing my Reiki, and I'm still building my business because I have had little wobbles here and there. And I have been, I wasn't necessarily looking for a coach. I was in a spiritual development group, but it didn't teach me anything about business, and I knew that's where I fell down. But I didn't want someone dictating to me about business because that would have been just like being back in the corporate world, and that would have just made me flee. So obviously, like Amy, I joined a 5-day masterclass, and everything, it was just like your soul spoke to mine, and that's the only way I can explain it. It was like a soul connection, and that's the only way I can explain it. I knew you were the right mentor for me, and I knew, and it didn't matter how much money it was. I knew it was something I had to do. I had to do it for myself, not for anybody else, for myself. And that's where we are today. So I still have little wobbles, but I think, with the program, I do my practice every day. And with my self-development, I was doing a practice, but it was all a bit haphazard, and be like, oh yeah, I'll do this today and then I'll do that tomorrow. There's no consistency to it, and no one understanding me, where people would say, what are you doing that for? Are you mad? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd listen to them, and think, oh my God, perhaps I am. But then being part of this community, we all help one another and build one another up, and we're all, as you say, on the same path, like same journey, but on different paths. But we can all recognize ourselves in each other, and that's the beautiful thing. We can all recognize our struggles, we can all recognize our hopes and dreams, and we can all recognize where we're going, which is where our heart's leading us. And that's what everything is all about, isn't it? You've got to do what your heart tells you, because if you don't go where your heart tells you, you're lost, totally lost. Your heart knows the way, and you should listen to it all the time.
Tell us a little bit more about your business.
So my business, obviously I'm doing Reiki healing, but I'm expanding more. I'm becoming more and more connected spiritually every day, which is amazing. And the things that pop into my head, which I used to think was my imagination, I know now it's not. It's a real connection. So yes, I'm doing healing. I'm also expanding, exploring different shamanic healing and all sorts of energy healing, and just finding my own little way, because I know it's a combination of things that are going to help people. I'm doing a spiritual life coaching course. So yeah, there's so many things I want to do and so many things I've got to learn, and this program obviously helps keep me on track, because otherwise it's easy to get overwhelmed and just stop there and do nothing. So my massive dream is to own my own retreat. And I mean, even before joining the program, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I was destined for something greater. I didn't know what it was I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to earn lots of money, so I could help lots of people, but I didn't know how that looked. And I think on the masterclass that I did, there was I think the first lesson was on clarity, and I did the technique that you taught us to do, and it was like boom, like a big light bulb went off. It was like, oh my God, everything I love doing all came together in this exploding light bulb. And I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. And that's exactly what I want to do. So I know where I'm going now. And it's so much easier when you've got clarity and you know where you're going. But then also you've got like you guys that all believe in each other, and you, Lindsay, you strive us forward, and you have your own little way of knowing what we need at the right time, which is so precious, really, really precious. So yes, I'm busy building my dreams, and it's going to get exciting. So I can't wait for it all to unfold.
Oh, thank you so much. And Julie, how long have you been in the program now?
I joined the program in March.
In March.
Yeah.
Wow, it feels
like. Yeah, it feels like a longer time, doesn't it? Yeah, but yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. No, March I joined, end of February, beginning of March.
It feels like it's been a really long time. And this has only been 3 months.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. There's like the 12-week mark. I always see there's a 12-week mark where it's like things are good. They're really good. They've shifted, they've changed, we're rocking and rolling. And then we hit the 6-month mark where I think it's like, I'm in.
It's like, woo.
I'll never go back now.
Yeah.
I'm really in, like, okay. I might feel like I'm now properly out of my comfort zone. Things are starting to move forward. And then we just keep going.
Yeah.
And I find that even I generally around the 10 month to 14 month mark, it's a 12-month program. I'm not going to cut everyone off at 12 months and kick you away.
Better not. I'm staying.
You continue to develop and you continue to rely on the structure that we built here. And one of the things that I personally find the program to be is very grounding for me in my growth and my goals, and remembering every day that even if I don't show up, there's still a group of people showing up who are working on their life, working on their goals, who have made the commitment. And it really is a way of not going too far off path or off kilter. Like if we go on a holiday for 10 days, we're not then going to take another 4 months to get back on track, right? This is what people do. Or we have kind of a bump in the road and suddenly we're out for the count for the next 3 or 4 weeks or 6 months. Which is
like got baby reins on, isn't it? And we're like, little baby reins.
Little training wheel. And even I think maybe even subconsciously for myself, because it's what I've always been looking for, and I've always been practicing and doing the same thing that both of you have been doing, striving, searching, looking. I also show up every day for this program because it's what I look forward to as well. I mean, I love what I do, right? I love working all of us together. And I think what you said, Julie, it's like there's a way. It's because we're all connected. And we're also open energetically to respect the fact that there's this mirror effect that goes on when you do this type of work. You start to see the signs and everything and learn how to follow them. So for me, it's really, it's just so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anything else that you wanted to share with us? Because I started talking so much.
I just think, how you just said about people asking if there's a 3-month or a 6-month program. My answer to that would be, once you get signed up and started, you'd never actually want to leave anyway. So it's just taking that step. And it's a big, scary step. But You just got to do it. You owe it to yourself. You just got to do it, because this is the, like Amy said, this is the only time I've ever actually thought about me and what I actually want, instead of listening to everybody else and doing things through expectation. And you need to listen to your heart. What do you actually want? And then you'll realize that, yeah, it's okay, it's going to cost you money each month, but you're going to get so much reward from it, and you won't look back. You really won't look back.
The investment in just setting your life on fire and putting it on track. I just had this thought when you were talking about this concept of freedom.
Yeah.
I wonder if you guys have any thoughts on, if you feel like you found a bit more freedom and what that kind of looks like to you since you've been undertaking. It's a practice, right? It's not like we're whipping you and telling you what to do. There's an individual practice. You develop it. I advise you. I make recommendations, as much or as little as you need. There's also a program that we follow, and there's an assortment of different ways you can engage with this program. It's really up to you what works for you. I respect different learning styles and stuff.
I think that's the magic of it, though, because there is a structure, and it's all there for us to follow as a structure, but there is the freedom for you to either join on Facebook Live or catch up on the replay or do it in your own time. So there's the lovely part that is structured, and you've got that structure that you can never stray away from, but you can also dip in and dip out and do it in your own time. So you haven't got to think, oh, if I miss that now, I'm never going to catch up. And that's the beauty of it, because I know me, as soon as somebody tells me I've got to do something and I've got to do it then, I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm not doing it. So that's the beauty of this program. You can just do it when you set time available that suits you to do it. Yeah, I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel.
Yeah, in terms of the freedom, in a different way as well, not just in terms of like, the approach to the program, but the actual freedom that the program like instills in you. It's in lots of different forms, but I guess one of them is really like the freedom to dream and to not also, you give us permission in a way, and I mean we need to give it to ourselves, but initially you teach us how to give ourselves permission to want what we want, like no matter what our parents might have wanted for us or what this person wants us to do. That's a real, opens up a real freedom within, and like a freedom of thought, and also having discipline over your thoughts. So like not letting your thoughts control you, like if a negative thought comes up, like acknowledging it and perhaps flipping it on its head, and doing the affirmations, and that really gives you freedom in your mind, I guess, because you're not a slave to like the habitual thinking patterns that come up. So that's also,
it's like releasing yourself from yourself, isn't it, really? You're freeing yourself from yourself, because you're freeing yourself from all your own silly limiting beliefs that you put on yourself, and you like cutting those cords, and it's, oh my god, I'm free. I'm free to be me. I'm free to do what I want, and that's it. I'm doing it.
You versus yourself boxing, right?
Yes, definitely.
But that's not really how I felt. I created a prison for myself.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's like I knew I wasn't happy in it, but I was stuck and I didn't know how to get out of it. And that's what this program has enabled me to do. So it's invaluable.
And one of the things that is so interesting is that you can never really like break out too much. There's always a next layer, because our spirit, our energy is created in the image of this ever expanding universe. There's no limit on how creative a person can be. There's no limit on how far you can go. There's no limit to how high the sky is. And it's the same with our energy and our understanding and our consciousness. There's no roof to freedom or consciousness or understanding the journey, because the journey never really ends. It kind of just, well, we're not going to get into like what happens after we die, but the journey is going, right? You're going to be born, everything going to change every second of every day until the day that you die, and then you're going to die. These are like inevitable expectations of life. You know, we can count on that stuff to always be happening, but there's never like this point of arrival where it's like, oh, I've finally arrived and now I can drink pina coladas on the beach for the rest of my life. I mean, you could drink pina coladas on the beach, but you're probably going to be up to something. How many people lay on the beach for a couple of weeks and then they're like, I can't do this? Maybe tourism agency, or they create something, you know, drum circles, local community, who knows? But there's never this point of arrival. That point of arrival is now. That's also what our lesson is about later on today, just so you know. So I've been kind of preparing for the lesson, but it really is this point of like understanding that it's happening now. What are we waiting for? We've just got to start putting those actions in. And you know how interesting it is when we have someone to show us what we can't see about ourselves.
It's peeling back the layers, isn't it? Peeling back the layers, and then once you've done that, there's another layer, and then there's another layer, and it's like, oh yeah, I finally get it now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So any other kind of like last minute recommendations or tips or anything you'd like to share with our community here who are listening today? Because we're kind of getting to the end of the hour. So I just thought we could do some final words or some final thoughts. Anything that comes up, we follow our intuition here, right?
So I was just thinking then when you said about the moment is now type thing, it's like it's about enjoying the journey. So it's like often I thought, you know, when I have that, I'll be happy. When I'm this size, I'll be happy. When I have my life sorted, I'll start. There were always conditions, right? So it was like I was always postponing my own happiness. And this is really like it's happening right now. So it's like even this process, it's not like you're like, oh, I'm done, I'm finished, I've got what I wanted now. It's like it's the journey, and it's actually like the journey and the experiences and the learnings that is life. So I don't know if that made sense, if it came out right. But I'd also say, like, you know, I guess I was beating myself up for a long time about my life should have been this way or could have been this way, and the decisions I'd made, and just ruminating over that. And now it's amazing because it's like nothing you go through goes to waste. It's like everything has actually brought you up to this point, and all those things you perhaps thought of as bad in the past, you actually you use them as your power when you actually like understand, go through this practice and start stepping into your power. So yeah, just amazing. And last comment would be, I like, if you are thinking about doing the program, I just ask yourself, like, do you want to continue in the way you have been, like for the last, I don't know, however long, like few years or even 10 years in my case? And like, if no, then you need to do something different, and you need, like, you can only, like, you won't get different results doing what you have been. So yeah, I would say take the leap of faith, and you definitely will, you know, see changes and get results.
Thank you so much for that. That was awesome. I had like a wave of when you just made that point. Yeah, it was like, wow, it's so true. It's so
Very true.
So thank you. And Julie, did you have any last thoughts or comments you wanted to kind of leave us with?
Just on what Amy said, really, everything in life happens for a reason, and you can either use it as a blessing or a lesson. So, as we go through life, that's all it is, isn't it? A blessing and a lesson, but you've got to have the right mindset to enable to recognise that. Otherwise, you'll just be in victim mode. And as like Amy says, if you carry on that you are, how are you going to change your life? If you want to change, you've got to do something to change that. And sometimes it does take drastic action, but then you'll find that the drastic action is just taking that first step, and then everything else is really quite simple after it because it all fits in.
Yeah, so, the first step that's always the hardest. It's like that first getting up on a bicycle without being afraid of falling off and scrape your knee. And then you're kind of right, what do they say, riding with no hands? Woo!
Woo! Yeah. And no feet.
That was like us city kids growing up in the city. Everyone's crying. They don't want to ride the bike. And then we can never get any kids off the bikes. They're like riding, jumping on the side of the house with the bikes. And it's like that first step of just finding that balance and the speed, that acceleration speed. It's like the feeling of the wind in your hair starts happening, and it feels good. It feels good. Even if occasionally we might hit a little stone, boom. Maybe a little scrutiny, but it's not going to take us out for the count. We just keep going because there's so much more. And I don't know if you guys saw the post that I put up today, but I felt like that was just so appropriate for what, of course I can't find my phone, for what we're talking about today. But what I wrote there was, what does it feel like to approach life just like you're going for an afternoon walk? I don't know if anyone lives in the city, they're walking on sidewalks or paths in the parks, or if you live a bit more country bound, you may be walking on trailways or dirt paths. We're not contemplating, freaking out, thinking about the walk and what's going to happen on the walk. You just get up and go for a walk. Something may happen. I don't know, a tree branch might fall in front of you, or I was going to say a wild dog. You don't know what's going to happen on that walk, but there's not a second that we don't think, let me just take the next step, go for the walk, and just enjoy my day. And that's the way we want to feel about the path of our life. We just want to go for it. Anything can happen when we're on that walk, but we still do it. We're not going to advise you to walk maybe at midnight along the Regent's Canal, in a bad neighborhood or something. But, we're going to take calculated risks here. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to enjoy our life. We're not thinking about all of the things that might happen or could happen that would, tear us down. And what we learn in this program is that those are negative thought patterns. And I can tell you that our most creative minds are so good at creating these negative thought patterns because it's creative to think of problems and to think of loads of things that could happen. And what we really work on here is shifting that mindset to use the creativity to think of all the possibilities, to think of all of the good outcomes, to think of all of the ways that things serve you. But it really is a training and a conditioning. And I think I even wrote in the post, it's like you're training your mindset like an athlete for the Olympics.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
When I can't remember who said it now, but there's a saying, isn't there? When your back's against the wall, learn how to pivot. And this is what this program helps you do, learn how to pivot.
Pivot is what it's about. You can get anything that comes your way. I always think of the water rolling off the bird's feathers. It doesn't mean the bird isn't flapping them off, but they are rolling off. So thank you so much. And I think in the US they play basketball. They pivot on one foot. They're not allowed to walk with the ball. Changing direction and going with the flow. We love definitely. We don't want that crash.
Yeah.
So I just want to say
surrendering to the process.
Surrendering to the process. And it is like, I called it a process as well, but it's a process, but there is a process that goes on, like a bigger process that all of us go through. I go through it. Human condition. That's what we study here, and how to turn it into success in all areas of our life, and just being patient to let that unfold. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate
Pleasure.
everything you do for me, and the fact that you show up, and thank you for not, saying no, and also making this uncomfortable. It's actually so amazing, and I'm really grateful. I appreciate all your time, all of your support. So thank you guys, and thank you to everyone who joined us live today. I know we had a lot of people in and out. We have people on YouTube and loads of replay watchers. So if you do have any questions for us, definitely shout us out in the comments, Amy or Julie. And also you can reach out to Camilla and Duchess with any other questions for them. We're happy to put you in touch if you guys are open to that and have time. And I'm also looking forward to speaking with so many people who are watching as well. So thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.